find you. You can lean on me.
GM, everybody. GM.
All right, Matthew. Are you ready for today?
Oh man, I woke up this morning.
Go. All right. Welcome to Money Monday. Happy you're all here. Send a text reminder out to somebody on your team that you know needs to be here. We need to update our calendar here, folks. It is not 99 days anymore. 94. Watch your classes. Awesome. GM. Okay, so the question is then, are you going to be one of those 10K a year people or one of those 10K a week people? And honestly, 10K a week, with how much money they're about to print, I don't know if that's going to be enough. Maybe we need to ask some AI robot to do some quick calculations for us. But you got to remember the amount of money that they have just allowed to be printed, and even if the Federal Reserve doesn't, even if they don't lower the rates, the Treasury is going to create more T-bills and add the liquidity. So the devaluation of the dollar continues. Is 500,000 a year enough for you? An interesting game we play, huh? All right, well, let's talk about it. Quote of the day. Education is the key that unlocks the golden door to freedom. George Washington Carver. You want to be free? Educate yourself. What do we say every day? Watch your classes. It's critical that you upgrade your ideas. Otherwise, you live a normie life. And in America, a normie life is pretty good. But you get psyched out, you get sucked in, and before you know it, you're a vegetable on a couch. Ha! What a way to live. So not us. No, not us. They will not catch us playing sloth. Education is the key that unlocks the golden door to freedom. There we go. GM, everybody. Mac, Lupe, Lester, Heidi, GM. Gosha and Eric and Emily, welcome, welcome. Ben, Aubrey, Anthony, GM, good afternoon. Ada, Jasmine, Bruce, Bill, everybody. Steve. Hey, Vivian's robot is in here. Right on. Tim, GM, everybody. Okay. Education is the key that unlocks the golden door to freedom. Okay, we'll get our updated list coming up soon. Hey, the other thing tonight on Invest Edge, we have Nate and Becky Lambert coming to join us, share their insights, their wisdom, how they have produced a mega multi-million-dollar portfolio from scratch, and hopefully some key insights. I know he's doing some big land development. He's done some funds raising. He has got a lot of rentals, a lot of subject to deals. And that's something I wanted to ask you guys about too, is your real estate acquisition style. Is it let me stop the share here. Did you do the math on it to see that the ROI on your time, your effort, and then the actual compensation that you get for it, is it something you'd want to do 100 times? We talked about this last week with Dane, where we were analyzing the style of deals, right? Rentals in particular. And it begs the question, if you didn't want it to happen 100 times, don't let it happen once. So then the same thing is, after going through it one time, do you want it 100 times? And some people are just built for holding rental properties. But as Dane talked about last week, and as we're going and exploring, what do we actually want to hold? Do we want to be the operator, or do we want to be the investor? And what needs to switch mentally in order to be the investor and not be in the operator game so much? So I'm going to draw out a little diagram, and then also I want to hear how your conversations are going out in the world with your warm market, your leads, your ads. How's it all going? Okay. Switch over to the whiteboard here. How to make sure we're investors and not operators. You be the operator of your marketing business, for sure. But your real estate business, there we go. Okay, it's working. Okay, so what we're going to look at here, call it the four currencies. And there's usually a big split down the middle of two of them. Okay, and on one side, we have time, and we have knowledge. Then over here, we have money and relationships. Okay, these are the four currencies that we're all working with, the four ingredients to making the real estate pie, the business cake that we're baking. These are all the ingredients. And what ends up happening is too many people get focused on money. And they think that's number one. Is it number one? Is money the number one? I mean, money's great. Money's a lubricant for many things. Money is fantastic utility, but it doesn't replace knowledge. It doesn't replace relationships, and it doesn't replace time. So in fact, no, money is not number one. Money is in the number 4 position. But if you don't apply this critical thinking and you go around trying to negotiate structured deals, and the person who has the money thinks that they're the top in this rank of currencies, and you're going to put in your time, your knowledge, and your relationships, but you think that you can't do any of it because there's no money in whatever deal or enterprise you're doing, you're fooling yourself. Money is the least valuable of these 4 things. The other 3 are debatable as far as which order, but most likely everyone's going to say time is the real number 1. So as you grow and develop as an investor and business owner, you're going to start buying back your time. You're going to start throwing your money at other people's know-how, and then also into relationships. So we'll say relationships is number 2, know-how is number 3, and then money is number 4. Okay. So knowing this, what is the fastest thing you can increase right now? Well, obviously we cannot increase our time. Money is a byproduct of increasing something else. So I'd say our biggest focus is on the know-how. What are you putting in your mind every day? Have you deleted all the nonsense apps that are stealing your data, programming your brain to normie, and spying on you? Have you deleted those things? Have you built a fortress? When I go and look at the the student reports of how many of you are watching classes and how many of you are doing deals, I see a world of difference. People like Mike Villa watching a ton of classes, doing a ton of deals. You gotta watch your classes. You gotta know. So, knowledge, since you already have the education, you already have your classes. The message then becomes to people when you are out there marketing that this is the biggest lever to pull, right? This one has the most leverage in practically anybody's life is knowledge. You need to know what type of money to use. You need to know what relationships to foster. You need to know how to use your time. So knowledge is the one with the most leverage. So when we're going to market and we're telling people you should get into Evernatus because what you don't know is hurting you. Maybe that's our quote of the day. All right, Jim Rohn tried to clarify that for us because too many people think, oh, well, what I don't know isn't hurting me. What you don't know is hurting you. Ignorance is not bliss. What you don't know is hurting you. Like, if you don't factor in the amount of money that's about to be printed over the next 5 years because of the bill that was just passed, and you don't factor in 8% cost of money versus the 2% CPI that people are telling us, over a 5-year period, your earnings will be cut in half. It's a terrible thing to not know. We've talked about this before. We're going to just make sure, because we got some new people on the line here. When you're running your numbers for your real estate deals, because we have to think long term, right? That's one attractive property of real estate is that it's long term. But we have to be thinking long term for the cost of money. Remember the rule of 72? Rule 72 tells us how often our money doubles. How often does our money double? How many years does it take for our money to double? Rule of 72 will tell us that. So, 1 goes into 72 times. So it's 72 years to double. 2 goes into 72 36 times. So if you're getting a 2% interest rate, it'll take 36 years for your money to double. Okay, 3 goes into 72, 24. So 24 years to double. 8 into 72. If we have 8% money increase year over year for the last 120 years. Now, we've looked at it before. We had the robots, right? The super AI go and do the math for us since Federal Reserve and the supply of money now versus then. And it reverse the calculation and it's like 7.01. But the last 10 years, they've really turned the printers on, as we can see. So we're going to say 8, even though some could say 9 or 10 if we just take in the last 15, 20 years. How many times is 8 going to 72? Nine. Thank you, Bruce. So excited to teach my baby multiplication. We're doing addition and subtraction right now, but when we get to the 9s and multiplication and division, boy, we're gonna have some fun. Some nerd talk right there. 9. 9 years. Okay. So in 9 years, remember, we're saying the same thing, but with different language. Your money doubles in this amount of time is the same as saying your purchase power gets cut in half in the same amount of time. So in 9 years, $500,000 today will buy you $250,000 worth of stuff. It's cut in half. You're going to have to increase, you're going to have to double your income in a 9-year period just to break even. Okay? I'm going to say that again. You're going to have to double your income over a 9-year period to break even. Okay. So now you get your chart out and you plug in your numbers and you go, cool, my rent is this, my mortgage payment is that, my reserves are this, and you run it in and you say, cool, here's my cash flow. You project it out over 10 years. You say, here's my cash flow times 120. Look at all this income I'm going to have over a 10-year period. Yes, you will have that many dollars, but what can it buy? 10 years from now, it'll buy half of what you could buy now. So please take this seriously. Factor it in when you're doing your projections to make sure you're not fooled. We have to be thinking super long term, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. We're getting 30-year mortgages. Are you understanding that that every 9 years it gets cut in half? So if you're doing 30 years, what are you left with? You're left with 12% of your purchase power. Right? Because in 9 years, it was 50. We go 9 more years, it's 25. We go 9 more years, it's 12.5% of your purchase power. 30 years from now, if inflation, and when I say inflation, I'm talking about the rate of money being printed, not the cost of goods going up. Because we all know, and if you don't, remember, knowledge is the key that opens the golden door to freedom. This quote of the day this morning. If we're not factoring this in, we are severely behind the 8 ball. CPI, which they just came out last week, and they said, hey, CPI is 2.7%. Okay. M2 is the dollars printed. Okay. The supply of the dollars. And that is historically 7, and in more recent times, 8. But they tell you it's 2.7 CPI. Now, what are they doing in here? They got this basket of goods. And they look at all the nonsense that we buy in this cute little basket. And they put in here TVs and iPads and cars and phones and approximately they put in 500 things so that they can get a real picture of the cost of goods. But you know what they're leaving out? Those jerks. You know what they're not including? They're not including the price of steak. They're not including the cost of health insurance, which has gone up 223% since the year 2000. 223%. If they put health insurance in here, which is something that we actually want and need, versus the things we don't actually want and need, the distractions, and we would get a real number, but they are able to say 2.7 because they're picking and choosing. You know, some years they leave out milk and bread. Okay. So what are the things that we're actually wanting and the things that we're being told to want? There's a big difference. So to get a real, this, right, the other thing that's silly is that CPI is only affecting, I mean, it's not even a real number, right? It's so manipulated. It's so manipulated. To get a real accurate assessment of the cost of goods and the cost of increase, you need to look at how many dollars they printed, because it's just going to be absorbed into the price of everything. Not this pretend 500 that each year or even each quarter they put in and out of the basket so that they can produce this number. Not real. Okay. So, how much money do you need 10 years from now to have the lifestyle you want? For today, you should double that number. Not to be like a big dreamer and to raise your standards and grow as a person. No, just to break even. Just to break even. You need to double that number 10 years from now to be today's price. So if you want a $200,000 a year lifestyle, you should plan on earning $400,000 a year. So in 10 years, you have that $200,000 a year lifestyle because you know what they're doing to the money. The other thing that I want to make sure when we are going to add real estate to our portfolio, okay, make sure you're doing the type of real estate that you like. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but I don't like fix and flips. I got some short-term rentals. I got some Airbnbs. I got some commercial. And I got some land. Okay. Airbnbs get managed out by a wonderful team. The commercial is just sitting there appreciating because I bought it at a deep discount. The land, just appreciating. I pay a couple $100 a year for taxes. And we're just letting it cook. Right? But here's the thing. The difference between this property that, let's say, for simple math's sake, we're going to say 100,000. I know there's a few places in America where we can get a $100,000 house of any quality. But let's say your purchase price is 100,000 and your cash flow is $200 a month. And this one over here that you bought for 50,000 as your purchase price, but your cash flow is 0. Which one is a better deal? Which one is a better deal for your overall portfolio? I'd say, even if this was $400 a month, let's do some math. Let's not speculate. Let's actually do some math. How many months does it take $200 a month to equal 50 grand? That's one way of telling us. Well, 200 times 12 is 2,400. 2,400 into 50,000 is approximately 20 years. It would take you 20 years to get the $200 a month cash flow to equal 50 grand. But in 20 years, what will 50 grand be worth? Remember, every 10, just keep it simple. Every 10, cut it in half. That's a super easy rule of thumb. Up until 2008, it was every 15 years. But ever since 2008, the money printers have been on. It's now every 10 years, you cut it in half. So in 20 years, 50K will actually be able to just purchase $12,500 worth. Okay. So obviously, this is the big winner. Now, if we could get it with cash flow, that'd be even nicer. But my point is that the level of discount you're buying the house at should weigh much more heavily on the scale of decision making than the cash flow itself. We've played this cash flow 101 game a bunch, right? 500 times I've played this game. I've analyzed tens of thousands of deals. And my point is, if you made a basket of deals that were like this one here, and you did that 10 times over the next 10 years, you would be light years ahead of someone who's focusing on a couple $100 a month in cash flow now. It's another observation when we're trying to help someone see velocity banking versus a cash out refi. For most people whose goal is to get out of debt and lower their payments and live in that type of lifestyle, cash out refis don't work. Even though someone sees their monthly payment go down because they refied, they're not factoring in how many years it took to get that equity. So discounts are going to help you leapfrog and combat the inflation. Now, when you watch your tax and legal class, and we go over the 4 benefits of a rental, and we talk about cash flow, depreciation, amortization, and appreciation. The CPA tells you that cash flow is king because cash flow allows you to keep the asset. But nowhere on here did we actually talk about the discount rate of your purchase. And if you haven't watched your tax and legal class yet, get on it. Remember the quote from earlier, what you don't know is hurting you. Okay, so go watch your tax and legal class. Okay, so before I move on, any questions or comments? Because we're going to talk a little bit about strategy now that we have a better awareness of the path moving forward. Questions, comments, concerns, ideas. We'll pause here for regrouping. Okay, let's see a question in here. And in reverse, you can use this knowledge when borrowing money. As it depreciates in value, your repayment is the same, but the value is less. Seriously, that's one reason why if you got one of these 30-year mortgages with 2, 3, 4%, let that baby roll. Okay, you got 100K in equity, 200K in equity, that's all right. Get it out a different way. The amount of money you're paying now on your monthly payment every 10 years is going to be cut in half. So you got yourself a 30-year mortgage, and you have let's say you have $1,000 payment. In 30 years, that $1,000 payment will be the equivalent of, we'll cut it in half, 500. That's 10 years. Cut it in half. That's 250. Cut it in half again. It'll be worth $125 in 30 years. $1,000 will be worth $125. So yeah, push those payments out. But it's the discount that makes the difference. Difference. I mean, in one regard, this is how bankers think, because they're loaning, their LTV is like a discount rate in case they ever have to take it back. They've locked in a profit, and they know they could fire sell it and still make their capital liquid again. The discount makes the difference. Okay. So now we're going to do a little group exercise. What strategies are you aware of right now that are all about discount buying? How to get the discount? Okay, let's do it. Sub 2, great. Foreclosure. Great. Seller finance. Great. Wholesale. Talking to a wholesaler. But okay, but what method leads to it being a wholesale? Right? Like, why would someone discount it so severely? So what are some situations that create? There we go. Right on, Gilded. Probate. A probate is something that creates a situation where a property needs a discount and a wholesale can turn it into liquidity. Tax. Delinquent deeds. This is something I like about when Deborah brings to the table. She's always looking at the paper real estate, and you don't have to deal with the sticks and bricks the same way. Tax liens. Wraps. Divorce. Tim says mailers. No, I'm asking about, I mean, sure, I guess in the how-to, you could say send out mailers, door knocking, the method. Yeah, so doing your proper marketing, for sure. Tired landlords. See, that's who I would be knocking on the door of and sending mailers to, is tired landlords. And then you could do some type of potential wrap or a seller fi type deal. Maybe the tired landlord inherited it because of probate and didn't actually want the property, but had to operate it. So, oh, wonderful, wonderful. We are still going. Absentee owners. Now, because I'm an absentee owner, I get mailers all the time. I am about to rearrange some extra privacy stuff so that I stop getting so much freaking mail. My goodness. I was just reminded I went to go to the mailbox the other day with my little baby, and it was pure junk mail, right? Nothing of value. And he gets all huffy guffy and he says, "Why do they keep sending us trash?" I love it. This little 4-year-old dude has just got me rolling. And then we're walking back to the house, and just I didn't prompt it, but then he said it with the same attitude. "And why do they tax us so much?" The 4-year-old knows. I love it. Why do they tax us so much? Oh, goodness. Okay, so here's how we're going to get the discount. So I remember going through working with realtors a bunch and how much they would emphasize this property is discounted by 10%. And they would say, you know, look at this $600,000 house right now. They're trying to sell it for $540. Right, look at that $60K in instant equity. Instant equity. I'm going to put air quotes around this, right? Because in their brain, 6% off. I mean, 10% off. In their brains, it's always 6%, right? And any of the mailers caught your attention? The handwritten ones, right? Like there was one for Windows, and it looked like a guy had written on a door hanger that ended up in the mailbox, and it was like, "Hey, we were in your area, discounted Windows." Caught my attention because it looked handwritten. After some more investigating, not handwritten. But to answer your question, 10% off. Is that a real deal? Does that really matter? 10% off? Maybe if you're only ever going to buy one house and roll it out for 60 or 30 years, and maybe. But don't be fooled. 10% off is not enough. Okay? It's too weak. What would be a good percentage discount in order to be building that portfolio of the ones that actually will make a big difference 10, 15, 20 years from now? We need a minimum of a 30% discount. There we go. iPhone put it in there. Deborah? So paying 65 to 70% of the perceived appraised value. So okay, we're right in that same spot. Minimum 30% discount. In other words, pay 70% of ARV. Same position, right? It's just how you label it. So the discount allows for flexibility. The discount allows for strategic refinancing. The discount allows for fire sales. The discount allows for being able to sell equity to partners without credit. The discount allows for, in case there's a 10% dip in the market, you're not liquidated. It's easy to have a 10% dip in the market, isn't it? By the way, has anyone noticed Las Vegas's listings rate this year? The rate at which new listings, properties for sale, are coming onto the market in Las Vegas. It's insane. But also, remember what happened last cycle with Vegas. Entire neighborhoods of brand new houses completely empty. I'm going to put one more in here. Got reminded by Deborah. Notes, discounted notes. In fact, that's the only way you are taught in the notes class to buy them is at a discount. There's no such thing as paying 100% for a note. So the name of the game is the discounts. So what to focus on while you are going to be watching your classes this week? Because it's for two reasons that you learn this stuff. One, building your portfolio, but two, it gives you the language to help with recruiting, to help with new student enrollments. Education is the key that unlocks the golden door to freedom. So it's not just your own education. If you want to be someone of great value to society, it's going to be education for many. Discount buying. This is the class. This is the learning path that's going to make a huge difference. Now, financial acceleration only applies to you once you have some dollars. Once you have some capital, then you could do things like financial acceleration. Okay? But in the meantime, you need to build up that capital. You need discounts. So foreclosure, seller financing, subject to auctions, day 1 and day 2, short sales, day 1 and day 2, and bankruptcies. These methods will lead you to extreme discounted prices. The discount keeps you safe from price fluctuations and then also helps you cash in much bigger in the future because of the excessive money printing. I call it a quiet, in-your-face robbery. It's quiet because you don't really notice it, but it's right in your face because they tell you every day that you're getting robbed. And the only way to stay ahead is with discounts. Cash flow on a discount is by far the best. But being able to buy 5 or 10 properties at a discount, and in 10 years you sell 2 or 3 of them that you bought at those deep discounts to pay off the other 6 or 8 that are in your portfolio, now you got all the cash flow you'd ever need. So, discount buying. When we go to tell people, and you're talking to new students, quite often I will hear a prospect say, I just want to do wholesaling. I don't want this $26,000 package. I just want to do wholesaling. But why do you want to do just wholesaling? You know why? Facebook ads told them, based off of what Facebook knows about them, what type of ad would get to them. And so they just found out about wholesaling. And what's attractive about wholesaling is they say, no money out of pocket. Okay, but can't you do all of these deals with no money out of your own pocket? So it doesn't have to be wholesaling. Plus, wholesaling means you just found this amazing discount and gave it to someone else. The discounts are added to your portfolio. Think about it. If you bought $1 million worth of real estate for $500,000, you bought $10 million worth of real estate for $5 million. That's what we're after here with these educated methodologies of acquisition. Sure, buy from a wholesaler if you want to. But when it comes to selling, and we're getting people involved in our program, I used to just make fun of the wholesalers. Be like, no, you don't. You don't want to do wholesaling. That's a full-on job. You just said you got a kid on the way. You work in a full-time job. You don't want to do wholesaling. That's just going to eat up all of your time. Yes, you want the discounts, just like we all do. But this program, it's 35 grand. We're offering a $9,000 discount if you pay cash up front. How many deals do you need to do to make your money back? 1, maybe 2. If you're a really slow learner and you pick a type of real estate, maybe 3. Okay. What if it takes you 1, 2, or 3 years to do this? If you go and put it on a payment plan, let's say you use the Renatus payment plan. It's $600 a month. So it'll cost you $7,200 for your first year out of pocket. And then you go and do your property, you do your transaction, you do your deal. But it takes you a year to do. You're out of the pocket $7,200 in working capital for your education, but you got the massive discounted deal that you were looking for. Now, if you put it on a credit card, now you're only $3,000 a year. If you do it with a 401k, you're about $7,000 a year. So it's almost the same as our billing. So then our students will, or the prospects will say, well, I just want the wholesaling. Okay, so we could do that. The wholesaling class. So this is where you get to help collect a decision, right? We're no longer telling, if they say, I just want the wholesaling class, fantastic, let's do it. I want you to get a package. You're going to get a much better deal. But let's just do that for a second. One wholesale class. Oh boy. One class. The retail price of just one of our 95 classes is $1,250. Okay. You get, in addition to the class, you also get the workbook. You get the audio, and it's for 1 year. Okay. You also get to assign a learning partner for that 1 year to go through that class with you. Now, if you pay it in full, it is $1,000. Okay. So you get yourself a decent discount. $1,000 cash, save yourself $250. Same benefits. I guess I should put pluses there. Okay. Now you, as the recruiter, regardless of what they buy, you're going to get $300 as your commission. Okay. For selling one class. When I get to this point and the customer goes, okay, yeah, I guess, paying it cash up front makes more sense. I'm going to say, if we really want to have something make sense, let's look at our essentials package. I want to give you what's going to help you be most successful long-term in the future, help you lower your risk and increase your profitability all at the same time. I really think you should consider the essentials. We've got the negotiations class, the tax class, legal class, velocity banking, credit, retirement accounts, raising capital, real estate red flags, creative acquisitions, and Be a Genius, accelerated learning. All of these classes you buy individually are $1,000. But if you buy it as a bundle and you do it on payments, it is $31.47. So you can get 11 classes for $31.47, but the cash discounted price is $23.37, which is what I'd say, at least on our team. And remember, we've made almost 10,000 new students from our team over the last 15 years. I'd say about 90% of our students pay cash for an essentials. On Scott's team and the Chicago World, Bob Tierney, Nancy, all of them, I think they're about 50-50 cash and essentials. Maybe Gilda would know better. She's on their leadership team. But essentially, from my experience, 90% of our students are going to pay cash for an essentials, especially when they see it's 11 classes versus one class. Right? You pay a little bit more, but in addition to the workbooks, the audio, have it for a whole year, the learning partner, with the essentials, you also get weekly group coaching. So every single week you have a Coach Gavin analyzing things for you, teaching you insights, giving you market updates. So another big bonus to having the package. Now you as the student, your commission is $1,080 for your commission. Now, if they do it on the payments, it's going to take you 18 months to collect that $1,080 versus the cash paying you out $1,080 12 days later. So just on this simple comparison here, go make 10 of these essentials sales, get them all to E3 at the E3 Summit, October 23rd through 25th. They're going to upgrade to their combo. If you get 10 people at the E3 and they upgrade to their combo, you are making $100,000 that event. If you're 5-star. If you're not 5-star, you will make that's if you're 5-star. Thank you for the reminder. That's if you're 5-star. If you are a 0-star and this is your effort to get into the big bucks, 10 sales is going to pay you about $70,000. If you're a 0-star, working your way up to 5-star and beyond. So go have those conversations. Start the did you know or I just heard. And the easiest way is going to be your friends. I know some of you are like, oh, can I just spend like $10,000 a month on like online ads instead? Yes, you can. But at what cost? I started out because I didn't have much free time. I had 2 jobs. I work from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Jiffy Lube, and then I work from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Sears Tire Center. So from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., I'm at an auto shop. You don't get to walk around on a phone at an auto shop. The chance of injury is crazy high. The shop manager would never let you do it. No. So the only people I could talk to and recruit were my coworkers, the people that I was around all day. So I blabbed nonstop about Renatus and what it has to offer. And you know what? People from Jiffy Lube enrolled. People from Sears enrolled. Those people to this day are still incredibly profitable. Out of the rat race, onto different stuff. I just called one of them and asked him how he was doing last week. Said, hey, you should come visit Tennessee. We're doing some fun stuff. He said, okay. Asked him what he's been doing. And he's like, oh, I was just on a family trip in Jamaica. And we made it a tax write-off. Guys, it is still paying for itself. So if you really call them your friends, you will get them involved in at least the essentials level. Help them stop getting robbed at such an extent by the banking system, by the tax system, by the insurance system, by the 401k nonsense that's out there. Do the math. So anyway, get some friends involved. You'll love it. It's way more fun to do real estate with people you know. You'll make some dollars along the way. They'll save a boatload of money along the way, and you'll make a difference. You'll be making sales that make a difference. And cool. Gilda just confirmed, yeah, 50-50 is a good guess on cash versus billing for essentials. So your customers can afford this. In fact, if they don't buy this, what will they be able to afford? If you're getting taxed at 30% and your dollars are being inflated away at 50% every 10 years, what do you have left over? You have to do real estate. You have to have a business. And that's the beauty of the Renatus Wealth Cycle. You got the business of marketing, you got the power of real estate. When they come together, you're unstoppable. Okie dokie. So let's get to work. I got to hop on the Pat call. Amy, it is our Team Elevate YouTube channel. So updated daily with new stuff. You just
This is
Team
awesome,
Elevate.
Michael. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for your participation, everybody. We are making a difference for people. But don't let it be a secret. You've got to get it out in the world. Okay, I'm just pulling up the YouTube channel real quick so that you don't... This Team Elevate's a little vague, right? Many things could call themselves Team Elevate. There we go. So this is our channel. Elevate Renatus. Copy. Paste. Boom. Catch the replays there. Send this to ICMs that you know need to hear it. We're 94 days away from the E3. So live a life by design. Let's get to work. All right, everybody. See you soon. Have a great day. Money Monday. Get after it. GM.